Well, hello everyone. Thanks for coming into my channel. This is Ellen Marie Francisco. We're going to do a little bit of tarot, my favorite Celtic cross, to see what's going on with October 2025. We've barely been through the thrust of the eclipses for September. It was very intense energy for a lot of us, and many of us are still reeling from it. So hopefully you'll feel a little lighter at the beginning of October and feel a little more courageous in your path forward. Just going to shuffle them a little bit. And we're going to call it done. I just like to use the second pile of my three. Oh, good. I think we need this after all the eclipse energy. We're coming up with an ace. Ace of Wands to begin with. So this is our collective. You know, the ace is bringing the gods and spirituality and our higher self and all of our creative force that needs to grow and move through the world. That's not a bad place to begin, considering, gee, I must have known, I matched the today. That's so funny. We are blooming. This is our new story. A lot of times we'll have evolutionary growth in our personalities and our soul growth, you know, in the way that we show up for ourselves in the world and how we show up everywhere else, basically. So if you're starting off the new story, we're being crossed with the Temperance card. Well, I see a number of things when I look at this card. It can be managing the heavens and the earth, grounding in the crown chakra that's speaking so loudly if we're being hit with the God energy and creation and things like that. Maker energy comes through this. So you could be working better with people who are difficult. You may be better at managing difficult personalities. You definitely would want to take into consideration all the worlds that you're working in and building in with everything that we're doing. New story, new energies, new elemental energies, working with them too. So yeah, lots of good growth here. Coming up after that, and it's riding underneath us in our position of support, is a Page of Wands. So we are talking a lot about identity here and how we're portraying ourselves. Sometimes the pages can represent our children, but sometimes they can represent our inner child and our own youthful ways, or the ways that we can look at things anew all the time. So you may be really being quite investigative this month, like really putting your eyes on things. Yeah, that's what it looks like to me. It feels like more investigation, more honing in, discovery. Feels almost scientific too. And also, you know, it is a lot of root energy that's coming in here, rooting our power, our divine power. Yeah. Yeah, so you could be seeing things differently too, you know. If we've got a new story beginning, we already came to some kind of end point during the eclipses, you know. Everybody had some kind of an ending here that we're still processing. So, you know, sometimes things do start as things are ending. Sometimes, you know, we live in two worlds, between two worlds as we're moving through things. So it could be refining the approach to yourself too, and still discovering things, you know, and it's through new discoveries that we're willing sometimes to take more courageous moves forward. And then we've got Three of Pentacles, which is community money. Well, it could be bank monies and loans. It could be people lending you money. It could be all kinds of things, you know, could be yeah, grants and things like that. So if you're wondering where the money is, you may be looking for some government money or some payouts or things like that, finishing things off. Also, you know, it could be that you find more of your abundance working with the community too. Sometimes we do need others to make our worlds expand and to grow. You know, sometimes we need to speak our story out loud to people in order for it to come into the world too. Okay, community money. Yeah, so if you're having a hard time, don't be afraid to ask, I guess, is what I would read into that, because this is resources. So maybe maybe you've had to rearrange some finances or things like that, or you're looking at things. You also could be looking at, if you've got a surplus, how you can help the community too. I mean, there could be a lot of that going on right now. And we've got the Hermit card over top of us. So we are going to want some of our own quietude. We may not be getting it if it's upside down. I'm probably going to read that as we may not be as in touch with it as, or with ourselves. We need to be more in touch with ourselves. Or the need to have the solace too, the quiet time and the solace. You could really be needing that alone time, decompressing, that kind of a thing. Yeah, in any way, the emotional body really got a workout with the eclipses. And I think a lot of people are still reeling from that. So don't be surprised if you're sort of sitting in your own soup a little bit, still processing. Maybe give yourself the time to do it so you're not feeling overwhelmed or overloaded or overpressured or anything like that. Avoid overworking if possible as well. And just listen. There's a lot more listening, I guess, that hearing them say something about more listening, less talking. So this next card is going to be our doorway to the future. Basically, I look at this card as really where we're going and what spirit is really asking us to do. All the other cards are sort of just the influences that are us and the influences around us. So here we are with a Two of Swords. Yeah, I nicknamed this card the blind faith card a long time ago. I love the imagery here. A lot of this is going to be about faith. You're going to have to dig in, understand. I guess that's why they're giving us the hermit ahead of time, because the hermit's warning us. We do need to take the time to listen and to connect to the energies that are around us and that are trying to support us, that are trying to open doorways and pave roadways and things like that. Now, if we can't see too far ahead of ourselves, then you do have to rely on your lower chakras. You do have to rely on grounding your truth into the earth, grounding all of your higher knowledge where faith lives naturally. You don't really have to have any blind faith or any kind of anything when you have access to your crown chakra. You just blatantly have faith because you're in your highest exalted form when you're up there. So you understand there's really not a whole lot to worry about. You don't need to sweat the small stuff, but down here on earth, our personalities can get really carried away by what seemingly is in our way or what seemingly is an obstruction. And there may not be many obstructions at all. And there may still be a really clear path. It's just because we don't see every second of it doesn't mean that we're not going to start out on the path and hit our marks and get to where we're going. It just means that we may not know what that looks like. Better not, I guess, to assume too much either with anything regarding your third eye. Like the third eye is used to imagine things and to vision things, to meditate through and all the rest. So I would say just rather than worrying about what it's supposed to look like on the journey, if you have to use your third eye, just paint pretty pictures in there with emotional wholesomeness so that no matter what happens, you still feel good about it. Universe is going to help you find the things that feel good for you if you do it that way instead of worrying about why you can't see it and why you can't control everything and why you don't know what's coming next. A lot of times there's so much going on with your allies and the souls that help you in the invisible world that they need time. Like they need time to create your world in the background while you're just taking care of your sleep and your diet and your other ways to nourish yourself. Usually when we get this card, it's because we don't need to know what's coming next. We just need to work on what's happening right now. And are you feeling into everything in the way that you're interpreting it with equanimity and a fairness and a neutrality rather than an agenda. You're working God's agenda right now, Maker's agenda, higher forces agenda, whatever you call it for yourself. It's your maker's agenda, right? It's the spiritual contracts that you agreed to work with in this environment. So I would say we are not going to see too far ahead of ourselves. I'm not really getting that it's got the emotional turmoil as much as September did. Like, man, oh man, that was intense. I feel like it's a little quieter. It almost feels like eerie quiet when I'm feeling into like, October, what's it going to be like? I'm kind of hearing someone say it's going to be like a numbing out month. So I think, yeah, I think we're gonna take a step backward. There, that's a little bit better. Okay, whoops. Um, the Hermit. Yeah, we may want to take a step back. We may not. We may be drained emotionally in October, which is why I'm feeling a bit of a flat affect. That's a weird feeling to have for October. It almost feels like flatline energy, and balance your energies very well in October. Don't push it, right, in all these directions, especially if you're not feeling confident about where you're going, then just default back to the stable plans that you had before the confusion came or before the unseeing happened to you or the unknowing, crept in. Just rely on, tried and true practices and baselines and things that stabilize you instead of worrying too much. I don't get, even though I'm seeing that this is our new story and we're balancing new energies and we may not really see where we're going with them all. The fact is, we're still at a new beginning. Right? Sometimes the beginning doesn't even look like the beginning. Sometimes the beginning just looks like a weird time where we're just like a mush pile and processing a bunch of emotion. So give yourself a little bit of leeway as far as your own expectations, I guess. Lower your own expectations. I would say keep your boundaries, but lower your expectations, right? Better than you have, like, if you have high expectations and no boundaries, that could be really weird. That could be very not fun for the people around you. There could be police involved. Could be all kinds of craziness like that. So yeah, so keep it simple. I seem to be saying that a lot lately. Just simplify where necessary. Try to find the most efficient way if we're being asked to listen and to really listen to our messaging, not everybody around us. Like sometimes, creator speaks through the people around us. Clearly, we're all like little mini walking gods to a certain degree, but you must be your own God. You must be your own God force. You must be connected to your life force enough that you get the information that works best for you. That's like sometimes, people have these kind of near death experiences or very quick calls or dodged a bullet kind of things, because they listened somehow, something in them was open enough to be influenced by good information that came into their system. So whether it's your own higher self giving you a little bit of the future ahead of time in the here and now, or invisible allies giving you actual, messages in your ear, somehow the messaging is getting better. And I believe that's why that's why we need the Two of Swords, because, if you're feeling properly, meaning if you're interpreting the sensory information hitting your energy fields properly, like you're not ignoring it or bypassing it or squelching it or telling it's wrong, just going, okay, thank you for telling me, I'm going to accordingly, adjust my modus of operandi, then, you're going to get further in less time. It may feel thicker, it may feel sludgy, but, mostly you're going to get there quicker. I would, if you feel like you need a chill pill for October and a back step, then that's what you need, that's it. we're kind of gearing up for the colder months in a way anyway. I don't know. I feel like our sentient parts of our bodies are being more activated, second chakra is being a little more activated. I feel like that in October. So, and it would make sense too because our new story is probably coming from the second chakra, creating right out of itself, something that we've been kind of destined to birth into the world. And yeah, you know what? We had strength card recently in one of the ones I did for September. And yeah, we're pulling on other strengths again, lying dormant. Also, you may just be more willing to work your divine purpose too. You may not be as afraid. You may have gained some self courage, not necessarily to face the rest of the world, but to face yourself and to be willing to hold yourself dear in the world and in the light around you, and to not you know, yeah, like there's this saying, don't dismantle your needs. You have needs, you have things that you require, and those are valid. Those are valid needs and desires. So there you go, permission. This trying to the sun codes. Is that a little bit better? No, I gotta. Whoops, I'm being blinded by the light here. Look at all the football light coming in. Where's that coming from? Whoops. Okay. Guess I'll have to move my position, guys. Here we go. A little bit. Whoops. Okay, back to the strength card. So, yeah, it's time. For months and months and months, I've been feeling this and seeing this in a lot of readings with people, how they're reforming their whole ground floor of their lives, and they're building with stronger foundations of kind of this unified approach to themselves and to their higher self. Yeah, so I would say this is going to be, it's going to be important for you to be willing to shine in your strengths. Not, like you don't want to be pretending you don't have talent right now. The other thing we're looking at here is after the strength card, we've got three more cards to pull. And the first of those is the Nine of Swords, the third eye, like I was talking about earlier. In this card, changing, or the way we've seen things, and then we should have had some kind of a spiritual awakening during this last month of some kind, even if it was a mild one. Something happened, to bring more information into the foreground, to bring more of you into the foreground. This combination in our gateway into the future, the blind faith card, basically, we're not going to be able to see too much, and we're going to have to rely on our sacral chakra to feel our way through things, or our heart to feel and know our way through things. The Nine of Swords brings, and again, they're both swords cards, so we've got to talk about the throat chakra and communication. The mental plane can get caught up with the swords to overthinking as much. If they're telling us here with the Nine of Swords that we're actually way more in tune than even we know we are, that maybe we should not disregard any random feelings that we get to do something, be somewhere, if we're compelled to do something. A lot of this stuff would come in through the feeling nature, and that's part of how the trust in our higher selves and all our other allies is grown anyway, by our willingness to separate from the pack, do the solidarity connection with everything above your crown chakra that's here to help you, and you to help you, basically, and feel in. So do not underestimate if you get a little, random passing thought in October. It could be some of the truest, most helpful intel that's come into your head space or into your heart space in, months. Yeah, because this is always about, underestimating what we really have to work with. And we've had the strength card as a precursor, to this energy leading into here. So if some of your strengths include being able to read a room and save yourself a lot of hassle by leaving the room before you get hurt or infiltrated or manipulated, then good for you. That's how it's supposed to work. You're supposed to be able to save your fanny quite a bit. I mean, I find it fascinating because a lot of people are afraid of their gifts, and you have a right to be afraid of them because the more you use them, the more they demand of you, and the more you're demanded, the more you have to participate, right? Like it is a bit of a building scenario when you're dealing with these energies. So ultimately, all of this energy is trying to work the best case scenarios for you. It doesn't always feel that way, and you don't always get to control how it all makes sense because it just makes sense in the way it needs to make sense in the moment for you. And I am back to the point where, be in the elements that are in the moment, live in the here and now, and don't worry too much about the future. A lot of the future, by the way, is already predestined, right? Like a ton of it. You'd be shocked. So if most of it is working out 80, 95% of the time, then you got a little bit of wiggle room to take a chill pill and relax and not get too carried away with anything. You know what? If you've already exercised and built a lot of your own inner faith, your own spiritual faith system, because you've had the proof in the pudding moments where you trusted yourself and it panned out, and you could say, wow, good for me. I did that for myself. I saved myself a lot of hassle. Then what else do you need? I mean, this is what connection is. This is what the promises that the divine souls that help us, the divine beings, um, that are more in control or have more information sometimes than we do. It's for good reason. Yeah, it's all for good reason, I keep hearing. It's all for good reason. You know what? There's just too much going on in the world. You really need to know, like, what is yours to do? What is your direction to move into? And is it now? If your body's telling you it's now, then it's now. If it's tomorrow, then you'll know that. You're going to learn these things already if you don't know them already. And let's see. So we have, yeah, two more cards to pull. And one of them is the Knight of Wands. This is good because in a way you get through a lot of your fear when you're dealing with this card. It can also be a lot of change, quick change, and a lot of doing. So if you've had, let's think about this for a second, how this works. I'm going to feel into how this works because we're coming in with the wands, with the ace, right? So we've got a new story. The collective is like, let's have a new beginning. Let's start afresh. It could be on a collective level that we just don't want as much from the outside world. We just don't need as much. We're not buying as much. You can't sell us all these stuff that we don't need anymore, right? Like that's kind of the tone I'm getting for October. It's almost like the collective here, at least sort of in the kind of North American field that I'm getting is, you know, enough with the playing around. Let's get this done, right? Like we're seeing through too many things that don't add up, and we need action. We need action. We need courageous, strong action because we need a new story. It's Yeah. So there could be some very good launch moments, I guess, because sometimes this energy is very antsy and needs to get up and get it going, right? Like it's building. It would be energy that's building as well. In some ways, it almost feels like the calm before the storm in October. The way it's a very interesting feeling. It makes me wonder if, like, are there any, if there are planets going retrograde or anything? Because I feel like, okay, it just feels like this suspended animation when I'm feeling into the climate of October. Like, and I'm feeling like a lot of Discomfort. Those of us who have a lot of awareness, like we're okay with our consciousness being open. We're okay to just see what there is to see. We don't need to filter everything out to build only the world we want. We're willing to let the world be what it needs to for us. Yeah, so we could be distraught, I guess, in some ways, where it's kind of like a few cringe moments. Um, Yeah, but I do feel like a sense of rising up too. I start to feel more political stuff when I feel into this card as well. There's no doubt we're all going through our own individual new story beginnings, like it's just par for the course. But I do still feel like on a collective, bigger region, bigger geography, well, yeah, something shifting. And our final card is another knight. So more quick action. Yeah, so maybe it's interesting to have all this quick action and still feel this like nothing's going on. So it's an interesting juxtaposition. But with the Knight of Swords, this could be a lot of mental telepathy. So if your gifts have been, inloading in a way like they usually do with the solar codes through solar eclipses and the moon codes through the moon eclipses, you're going to have been integrating some of that already. And this could be where, you're just a little more able to work with it in a way that catapults you forward. Okay, so now I understand it. I was trying to figure out how can we be feel like we're moving so slow and then things moving so quick? So I understand it now. For those of us who have been clearing out the debris in our systems, whatever, your shadow work, your old pains, traumas. Like it could be anything, you made a promise. Okay, I don't want to be this sad anymore. I don't want to carry this depression, so you could have been taking action under, these last under the pressure of having to go through the eclipses and all the other change that they bring. Yeah, so you could have been just sort of in this hold pattern to a certain degree. So, but I guess the point I'm trying to get into words is, we attract a lot. The universe brings to us when we work the energy properly. That's where the law of attraction begins. I feel like a lot of us will be able to make massive leaps forwards. Let's put it this way. The world will take action upon us to bring us the things that we need that have been sitting here waiting for us in our future, that have already kind of been written in the stars, waiting for a bunch of elements to come together in order to feed our new story. So if you need the strength this month, you may need it to calm. You may be working with new rhythms, right? Because when we get the energy right, things can just drop, right? They drop in our lap. It's very little effort to manifest at all. So this is what I'm feeling with these cards. I feel like one of two things is going to happen. Either the universe is just going to start bringing you things that are just, feeding you, nourishing your field all day long, and you will be smart to keep your hands open and allow things to come into them. Keep an open heart. We've been working on that for months already. And I'd be willing to communicate. No time to hold your truth when your new future is trying to build. It builds because you're in your truth. It builds because you're willing to live it and wear it and be it. You already have taken some very good calculated risks. And sometimes we just have to push ourselves for the final plunge. And sometimes, we do have to wait a little bit before we get on the horse and ride. So some of us may be feeling the push through our lower chakras. Our body will just suddenly want to move in the direction that it needs to be moving by divine right and by divine law and divine purpose. And other ways, we're just going to get the idea. Spirit's going to be like, hello, let's do it. The time is now. So, for those of you who have been developing deep relationships with your spirit guides, I feel like October is going to be a fantastic month. And as soon as I start seeing that, I look at all the Day of the Dead stuff towards the end of the month. So, yeah, so the ancestors could be very ripe this month too, as far as the kind of supports that are coming in to help your new story along. And and maybe that's the point. So you'd be better off just journaling this month, just whatever, just offletting, oh, this happened to me today, and this happened to me today, and this came through, and I'm happy about that, I'm gratitude about that, and blah, 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 blah. Because it helps keep the energy moving forward. If this is, what I think it is for October, then, we're not going to see too far ahead, and it could be unsettling. We could be really annoyed. We could be like, I don't see why this is happening. I don't see why he's not calling. I don't see why this isn't coming through for me, and on and on and on. You'd be better just working with what are the energies in the moment. You know what? Don't worry, create, right? So go create something, create a vision for yourself, create a plan, create a list, create some hope, create some more strength by allowing yourself to have patience with the universe in the way it helps you, in the way it wants to support you. It really is a very protective universe. I know it looks really ugly on the surface here if you're not looking at it with all your eyes. But there's a lot that can really be feeding you in this month. It's like because the fall equinox grabs hold of us. I feel like we all are going to be really just looking to root. We're going to really want to ground. I feel like that's collective too. I feel like it's coming from, yeah, okay, I see what it is now. It's like, okay, so we were all hit with a lot of the energies during the eclipse in early September and just, not too long ago at the end of September. And there's a lot of integration that needs to happen. We get hit with a lot of new energies. It stimulates certain parts of our body. It can, give you might have had a headache that you've never had in years or things like that, during that whole cycle. So the way it looks to me is we're just routing the information that is most helpful for our journeys and that's most necessary for us to integrate and amalgamate into our structural system so that we can, with every step we take, we're embodying more of our best light, basically, like our highest yeah, like our higher, more of our higher purpose is becoming clearer, which, sometimes does happen during a phase where we're in a blind faith phase because we do have to really feel into things to find our own comfort, and to release some of the anxieties that may be building up because we can't see what we're doing, or where we're going. So keep in mind that, there's always a lot going on in the background that's trying to support your journey, whether you're aware of it, whether you know it, whether you want it, whether you understand it, really is a moot point. They don't really care. Like spirits, like you're on a need to know basis for most of the time anyway. So if you feel like you need you don't know what to do, then just ask, show me what to do, show me what to do, show me where to go, show me what to do, show me where to go, and wait for some kind of sign or some kind of action. I've thought maybe I'd pull a couple cards for the hell of it. We got through our Celtic cross there, or did we? Oh yeah, we did. We had our two nights. So anyway, October is going to be a lot of movement, clearly, if we're ending with the two nights in our Celtic Cross, because they're going to get it done. So I would also just, keep yourself in tune with mine by divine right. What is mine for divine right? All right. And don't betray your intuition. So that's our little adjunct card at the end of the Celtic cross to see, well, what else do we need to know that we might not have already picked up on? Not betraying your truth, not betraying your instincts, don't betray your heart. You may be clearing old wounds and they may be getting in the way of your new story, right? Like sometimes we're ready to start the new story, or so we tell ourselves, and then you get into it and you're like, holy man, this was like a little more than I bargained for, and what am I doing here? So if you have little red flags going off in any direction in October, they're worth paying attention to, and they're worth slowing down a little bit over, because at some point they do want you to slow down in October, and at some point you're going to be going at hyperspeed in October. So hopefully you're not going hyperspeed on the things you should be slowing down on, and slow on the things you should be going hyperspeed on. You know, you're going to have to use your own discernment, but for sure listen to your heart. So maybe don't let your brain take total control by just over reasoning yourself through things that are actually spiritual matters that should be felt through rather than thought through, is really what I'm seeing and feeling. All right, so, well, that looks like should be interesting. So I'm going to say that October feels a little bit like a breakthrough month, like a weird breakthrough month, you know, like a hurry up and wait kind of breakthrough kind of a month. But sometimes breakthroughs are like that. They're slow. And then here's our other card. So a Six of Wands. Yeah. See, that could be family. That could be going to see family. You may be, I know that family is very big this whole year for us, you know, our spiritual family and our bio family. Yeah, so you could, and anyway, back to the ancestors, this is a little more sign that your ancestors on the other side are still coming in with supports and can help you build your value structure and to honor the things that you value and the things that are important to you. It could be your relatives in the real world too. But for sure, you can very much be your dimensional traveling and going through, you know, into your astral realms and living la vida loca, basically. So be good to yourself, because these are the, you know, that's the kind of stuff that spirit really watches and notices, is where all of your self nourishment is building new foundations for you. All right, so I'm going to say a farewell for now. And as they say, namaste until another day. Thanks for coming into my channel. Have a really good everything. And I will see you soon on another video talking about what's coming up. So hang in there. Have a great day. Bye for now.